everyone, hope you guys are doing well. I'm Shubham and you're watching Let's Create an App. So in this video we are going to talk about one of the amazing application, that is a quiz application. And in this application we will also cover various different kind of functionalities, like how we can call the APIs using MVVM, how we can use closures, how we can create the views without using tab gestures. So we are going to cover all, as well as we are going to use how we can create a naming colors also. So these are the topics we are combined in this video. So before starting the video, let's see the demo and then we will start the functionality. So we are going to create this quiz application in this video. So on this we are having multiple buttons. So we are going to create this UI first, and after that one API get called and all these questions are coming from the API and all these options are also coming from the API. So as a user select any of these answer, the selected answer will be with the border white color, and it will also remove the previous selection. Now if I move on the next screen in the similar way, it will prompt an error without that. If we didn't select any answer, then it will prompt an error that first select the answer, then you can only move on the next screen. So in the similar way, if we move on the last screen, like we are having 10 questions in this application. So let's move on the last screen quickly, and that is a result screen which will show all the results that what we get in the last. So we are getting 2 out of 10. So if the user click on this back to home button, it will again move to the home screen. So all this functionality we are going to learn in this video. So we are going to cover all these topics in this video, and if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get the notifications of all my other videos. And if you have any questions or queries, you can comment that thing, as well as you can mail me on the mail address. All the things I mentioned in the description. And if you don't know how to call APIs in MVVM, please watch my previous video. The link is mentioned in the description. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So now let's start learning. So first we are going to create this UI, and if you didn't download this demo application till so far, please download it. And I've already added all the asserts and call the API in this project already, so you don't need to worry about all these things. So let's first design this home page or home UI. So for that we have like one background, one image, and all these things. So first let's take a one UI image. Now let's put the constraint from all the 4 sides, and now let's give this image an image, this one. Now you can see that there is a white spaces, so we have to make this as an aspect fill. It's aspect fit, right? Now we have to take one more image view over here. We can take directly over here, and we are using this image view to show this icon, this bulb icon. So we have to like fix the height for this. Now we have to position this icon over here. So there are 2 ways by which we can do this thing. First is that we can attach this icon from the top, or we can use multiplier to position this icon over here. So the issue behind in the first approach is that if we attach this icon from the top, so in any screen size it will always coming with a specific distance. But if we use a multiplier, then it will always calculate the position on the screen. So it will automatically maintain the position of this image. So let's do this thing. So first we have to make this as a vertical center and horizontal center. Now we have to click on this vertical line, and we have to change the multiplier to 0.45. So it will automatically move my image view at the over here. Now it will always come on every screen at this position only with respect to the screen size. Now we have to take one label. So simply use label, and I'm quickly designing this screen, otherwise it is taking lots of time to this video is becoming very lengthy. So we have completed the design of this home screen UI, so in which we have added this image over here, and we have added this label. This is also a label, and these are 2 buttons which I have already placed in the stack. Now I've used this stack also position on the basis of this vertical alignment. So I've given this constraint as 20, so it is automatically shifting this vertical stack to little bit lower from this center level. So by this way I've just designed this UI screen. Now we have to move on the next screen, which is related to this UI, this part, this background. So let's take one more view controller over here. So just simply take view controller over here, and now we have to take one image view in the background, as we have already done. See this part in the previous view controller, like this. Now over here we have to select the another image and we have to make this as a aspect fill. Right, now we have to take one collection view. So if you can see this thing in this video that in this image that these two buttons are fixed and only this part is a collection view part. So in this, these four are buttons and this is changing, otherwise these two are fixed. So we have to use the same approach in our design pattern, that we have to put these two buttons over here and the rest part is a collection view part. Now let's take two buttons. So simply take button over here, simple button. There are multiple buttons now in Xcode, so you can take this button and like it is not showing the background color and all the other stuff, so we have to change this to default. And now after that it will going to show all the different colors which we can use. So in the background color I'm using this button blue, and for the text color I'm using button white color, and I'm just putting the name as like next. Yeah, so the button color looks good. Now we have to like increase some size of this button. Now we have to copy this button like by pressing the alt key, and it will automatically copy a new button to us, and just change the title to exit like this. Now we have to make these buttons aligned at the top with a safe area. So just put the safe area thing like 20 pixels from the top and like 20 pixels from the left, and the height and width should be like the width should be like 100 pixels and height should be like 40 pixels. This is fine. So for this as well we have to do the same configurations which we have done for the exit button. So like what we have put for this thing, right, this is for 20 pixel, right? So we have to do the same things for this also. 20 pixels from the top and 20 pixels this, and 100 pixels width and 40 pixels height like this. Now we have to take one collection view. Now we have to give the constraints to this collection view, like from leading it should be 0, from trailing again it should be 0, and from top it should be like 10 pixels, and from bottom it should be 0. And be sure that bottom should be the safe area, not the from the edge, right? So now it is not transparent, so let's make this thing as a transparent. So we have to change the background color to clear color over here like this. Now it's transparent. Now we have to design this cell of this collection view. So how we have to design this cell? We have to take one text view at the top. So simply take text view, sorry, label, my mistake. We have to take the label at the top right here, and we have to give the constraints to this like 20 pixels from all the four sides should be 20 pixels, and we have to increase the size of this and we have to change the color to white like this, and we also have to give the alignment to center. So we can write any text like this, so it will always come in the center. Now the critical part for this collection view is we have to design these four boxes, right? So for that first we have to take one UI view and put it over here. Now let's make this thing as our own understanding, and we have to just copy this thing by pressing the alt key. Now we have to put some constraint on this view. So the first constraint which you have to put, that aspect ratio. So it will always maintain the aspect ratio of 1:1. So just press the control button and just drag and drop on this view, and it will always show aspect ratio. So now it is showing an aspect ratio, so we have to check that aspect ratio should be 1:1. So it is showing like over here this one, so it's 123 ratio 128. So we have to make changes over here, 1:1 only. And now we have to choose the stack view over here, and we have to make this distribution to fill equally, right? So it will automatically adjust the height and width of this view according to this view, right? Now we have to copy this stack view one more time like this by pressing the alt button like this, so it will always make a copy. Now we have to select these two stack view over here, and we have to put all this together in a single stack view like this. So now we have to give the constraint to this single stack view. We don't need to put the constraints for specific single views. So this is one of the best approach which we can follow over here, and the spacing is not matching, so we have to put the 15 pixels as a spacing. So now it's look quite good and very clear to work on. Now let's give the constraints to this complete stack view. So for that we have to first click on this thing and like 20 pixels from all the three sides. We don't need to give the constraint. Oh yeah, we can do this thing. We can also fix the 20 pixels from the top as well. So it looks something like this, as we have seen in our simulator like this. Now it looks something similar in the way Now I believe that the spacing is less, so we have to increase the spacing from the leading and trailing. So we have to increase the spacing from 20 to 30. So over here 30, and you can see that it is automatically adjusting everything. It is automatically adjusting the height, width, size, everything. So this is one of the best approach if you are trying to define things in this way, right? And this is also should be 30. This should also be 30, like this. Now whatever question is coming over here, it will show, and all the 4 options will be coming here. So now we have to change the color of every view. If you see that these are the view, these are not the buttons, so we have to make them clickable, and we will definitely learn how we can make these things clickable. So let's change the color to like a yellow. So it's look good now. Now what we have to do, we have to put some labels in the center of these UI views. We will learn definitely without using tab gestures to how we can create a UI view as a tappable view without using any tab gestures. So just wait on this video, and we will definitely learn. So first put the label on the top of these UI views just so that it can show the labels. So put over here and just increase the size like 20 pixels, and that color should be like white, and it should be like option 1. Definitely when we run this application, it is not going to show an option 1 or something like that. It is definitely showing a real option. So putting like from all the 4 sides, it should be 20 pixels like this, and uh, it make it center. So it's better approach to create one thing and just copy the same thing over if we are using the same thing at the different places. Now if you want to change the name of these options, it's totally up to you. Option 2, option 3, option 4, it's totally up to you, what you want to do. It's totally up to you. Now we have completed our second UI. Now let's quickly create the final UI, which we didn't see this far. So this is the final UI in which we have an image and these labels. So I'm quickly designing this UI, and after that we will start working on the actions of all these screens. So we are quickly designing this UI now. So we have completed the design of this congratulations screen, in which we have at the top we have one image, one label, and these are the some points, how many points the user scored. We have used this tag view for the same thing, and there is one button on which when a user click after completing the quiz, when user click on this button, it will move the user on the home screen again. So now let's see the coding part of this quiz app, that how we are moving from play button to this controller. Before that, let's add a navigation controller over here. So just put the navigation controller behind this home screen. So now let's quickly create the action of these buttons, and also need to make these buttons some like a corner radius. So let's move on the view controller first and take the outlets of all these buttons and action of these buttons. So just click on this part, and let's move from here, that we have to move on the controller, and that's a view controller right over here. And now let's take an action of all these buttons. So first we have to take the outlet of this button. So simply drag and drop, and like now we have to also create the actions of all these two things. So simply over here, and be sure that it should be action over here, and it should be touch up inside. Now we have to create one more action, that is topic. Now we have to provide some corner radius to these two buttons, so we can directly do these things on the outlet itself by using a did set. So whenever the application gets started, or when the allocation is there, it will automatically set the corner radius for this button. So simply write play button dot, and as you already know that the height of this button is like 20 pixel, 50 pixels, so we can directly pass 25, or we can also use the property frame property to access the height, dot height divided by 2. So it will also provide us the 25 pixels over here. So by this way we can like set the corner radius for this button. Now we have to do the same thing for this button right here, and we have to change this play button to topic button like this. So now if we try to run this code, it will show us the button and show the screen on the home screen. So let's see is it working or not. So it will look something like this, but still there is no action on these buttons has been written. So let's write those actions first. So first we have to on the click of when a user click on this play button, we have to move the user on this view controller, this question view controller, and if user click on this topic, we have to move on another topic view controller, which you have already seen in the demo part, but we are not going to cover this topic part in this video. If you really want to make this video further, so let me know in the comment section. I will create another video with this topic functionality. So now when a user click on this play video, we have to move this user on this view controller. So first let's define all the view controllers. So this is basically our quiz view controller. So I'm creating one new view controller in this view controller folder. So over here we have to use a Cocoa Touch class, this one, and the name should be like quiz view controller. It's totally up to you what you want to give. Be sure the language should be Swift, and just create this class over here. And one more thing we have to do is we have to create this result view controller as well. So we don't need to worry about creating classes again and again. So just create this over here like result view controller, right? And one more thing we have to create, that is that cell class, this collection view cell class. So we have to create one more class over here, that is collection view cell, and it is also a Cocoa Touch class, and it should be like UI collection cell class, UI collection view cell over here, and this is quiz cell, quiz collection view cell, right? So we have created all our classes. Now we have to assign all these classes to the respective view controllers. So just move back over here. Now let's assign. So this is a result view controller. So let's click over here and assign result view controller over here, result view controller, and the name should be same. Storyboard ID is also same, result view controller. Now let's move on the second view controller, that is a quiz view controller. So let's give a name to quiz view controller, and the storyboard ID should be quiz view controller. And we have to also need to assign the class to this cell. So we have to access this cell via this hierarchy, view hierarchy. So over here we have to use like quiz. Okay, it's a collection view. We have to assign this class to a collection view cell. My mistake. So it's like collection view cell, and we have to put the ID also. So it's an identifier, usable identifier. So over here, so like this. Now let's move on this view controller again, and let's put the coding part. So let's directly move on the view controller, and now we have to create a let variable. It's VC, and it's like storyboard.initiative view controller with identification, and in this string part we have to pass the name of the quiz view controller. So let's copy this quiz view controller from here. I'm copying this because I've already used the same name as my controller name. If you're using a different name, then you have to go to the storyboard and copy the identifier name from that controller itself. So now we have to typecast this controller as a quiz view controller now. Okay, let's make it guard, because guard is much good as compared to this thing, else we have to simply return nothing. And now we have to push this VC in the stack view, or we can say that the navigation controller. So self dot navigation controller dot push view controller, and in this we have to pass this VC, and over here animation is true, something like this. Now let's run this thing and see that is it working or not. So let's play this thing and check that it is working or not. So now let's click on this play button, and it's successfully working. But the only thing is that there is a navigation bar is at the top, and which is not a good for us, that because we are having a different buttons to do this part. So we have to remove this navigation bar from at the top. So for that we have to put one simple code on the view. View will appear. So we have to add one more line. View will appear, and in this we have to hide the navigation controller. Self dot navigation controller dot hide navigation bar. Sorry, set navigation bar hidden. Set navigation bar hidden, and in this we have to pass the true value, and the animation is false. We don't want any kind of animations to do this thing. So now let's save this thing, and now let's run again. So let's move over here. Yeah, so the navigation bar is hidden now, but the questions are not presenting over here because we didn't call the API on this view controller. We have called this API on the previous controller, on the view controller itself. So for that, just do one more thing. Let's call this API on this view controller and let's start the working on functionality now. Before that, I'm seeing that there is no alignment of this code, so let's command A and control I to align every code. So this is also a good practice to always align a code and use a proper spacing between the different blocks so that it is very easy to read the code. Now let's move the this API call over this view controller, so we are able to show all the questions which is coming in this API call. So let's cut this code over here, like this code only, this one, remove this part and just put this code over in this view did load. Now we have to copy the variables as well, that these two variables should be placed over here now. So we don't need any these variables now over there. So now we have to place these two variables over here. Now one more point is that now we are having a questions and this is a view model, but I really want to get all the questions only. I don't need this model only. So I want these questions. So I will use the array of this question, because at last we are going to show the questions in the array in the collection view, right? So for that we have to like dot data dot questions like this. So it will all store all the questions will be placed in this question variable. Now let's define the outlets of all the different elements of this view controller. So let's move on the storyboard first over here. So now let's take the outlet of these two things. You can you can increase the designing at any point of time, but I'm not focused on designing now. So on click exit, right, and this is on click next. Right, now we have to take the outlet of this collection view also. So we have to take a outlet like from here. So just take a outlet like this collection view. Now we have to write some methods of the collection view, like number of cells, extension to write the data source and delegate methods of collection view. So we have to write extension, and this is quiz view controller, and over here we have to write UI delegate like this. So it will automatically prompt us to show the different required protocols of this these two protocols, sorry, different methods of these two protocols. So we have to put these two things over here. So the first is cell for item at. So in this we have to return the cells. Okay, so we have used the same methods. We have to use the another method over here. Yeah, now it's fine. So in the number of items in section, we have to pass the number of elements. So we have to simply return the questions.count. So we have to simply return questions.count, and if the count is 0, if the count is null, that means there is nothing in the count, then we have to simply return 0. And we also need to reload this collection view over here. So simply write collection view reload, right? And in this we have to create a cell of this quiz quiz collection view cell type. So we have to create like let cell is equals to collection view dot dq reusable cell for this one, and in this we have to pass the reusable identifier of that cell. So we have used the same name of this class. So you can if you have using the different name, then please mention the different name. And in this we have to pass the index path also, this one. Again we have to use the guard over here so that it is for sure that it should to come or not. And this is like as we have to typecast this thing as quiz cell, else we have to simply return the empty reference of this cell class. And now we have to simply return the cell over here like this. I think this is going to work, but still we will not able to show any options or any questions because we didn't create the outlets of all these elements over there. And yeah, we didn't work on the click functionality of these views, so we will definitely do this thing in now. So let's move over here in this jump in the section and let's create the outlet of these things. So first let's the outlet of this label. So this is like question. Now let's take the outlet of this option 1. Now we have to set all the values which we are coming from the API over here in these different options and these different questions. So we have to like take a variable like variable set values, and it should be like type of a questions model, and it should be optional. And as soon the value will be get in this variable, we have to set the values. So for that, like question label dot text is equals to set value dot question, and the next thing is option 1, so it should be like option 1 dot text. And we also need to maintain the correct answer, so we will take one more property over here, that is private property, which is not moving outside from this class. So it's correct answer like this, and it should be of bool type. It should be of string type. My mistake, it should be of string type. Sorry, my mistake. We have to put the variable as well, where like this. Now we have to save the correct answer in this correct answer property. Now let's run this thing and see that is it working. It is able to, we are able to see the questions and all the other stuffs over here. So let's run this part. So now let's click on this play button, and yeah, we are able to see all the data, but we didn't able to see the data on the UI because we didn't set anything in this set value from this view controller, quiz view controller. So let's do that part. So cell dot set value, and in this we have to pass the values from questions array, and in this we have to pass like index path dot row like this. And one more thing, I think we didn't set the data source and delegate for this collection view. We have to put the question mark over here like this. And for that, now let's self dot collection view dot delegate equals to self, and we also need to set the data source dot collection view dot data source also self like this. Let's run this thing again and check that is it working. Now it is showing the questions on the screen or not. So let's click on this play button, and yeah, it is showing, but it's not showing the way we are looking forward. So we have to do one thing. We have to define the size of the cell, this collection view cell, and all the things related to the flow layout. So let's do that part. So over here we have to add one more protocol, that is collection view flow layout UI. Not this, I think delegate flow layout is the thing. Delegate flow layout, this one. And now we have to add one thing, that is size for item at this one. Size for item at this one, and in this we have to return the collection view cell size. So it should take a CG size like this, and in this we have to use a collection view variable to fetch the width and height of this collection view. So collection view dot so basically CG size takes two parameters, that is height and width, width and height, sorry. So first we have to pass the width. So in this case we have to use let collection view. Apart from these two methods, we also need to pass the some more methods in this flow layout delegate flow layout protocol. So that is spaces between the cells and the spaces between the sections. So there are two methods like minimum, I think minimum spacing at this one, minimum line spacing, and there is one more thing, that is we have to return 0 over here so that it will automatically show 0 spacing between the cells. And the another one is minimum interspace. So mini interspace, this one, and in all this also we have to return 0. So now let's run this thing and check that is it working fine. Now it is showing a single cell on a screen or not. So let's see is it working or not. So like this, and it is showing all the things, but yeah, it's not working because I think there is one property is added on the new updates. So we have to stop that property. We have to make it none. This estimated size, we have to make this none. And now let's run this thing again, that is it working fine or not. Yeah, so what we are expecting, it's coming in the same way, but the problem is now there is a scrolling is in the vertical direction. We want this scrolling work as a in the horizontal direction, so we have to make the flow direction to horizontal, and we also don't want to bounce back or bounce on zoom, something like that, bounce on scroll. So let's remove all these options. Now let's run this thing and check that is it working fine now or not. So it's not bouncing anymore, and it's doing in this way. We also need to make this label as 0, and it's not stopping in the equal cell, so we have to put one more thing in this, that is we have to enable the paging and we have to remove these indicators. So this is all we have to do. After that, I think we are able to scroll the UI on a single questions. And we one more thing we have to do is like we have to make this text line number to 0 to this label. And where is that key? These are the lines, we have to make it to 0. Now if we see this thing on our simulator, that uh, we get all the questions, and now we are able to scroll single question every time. Now we will see how we can design these views, and how we can make these views are not clickable, so we are not able to select any question. So we will see all these things now. So for making these views clickable, we have to assign one class to this these views, like a UI control, I think a UI control, and we have to assign this class to all 4 views, so that we can take click actions on these views without any putting any tab gestures on the views. So now we can take outlets of all these 4 views, and we can add the actions on these 4 views. So let's take an outlet for this option A. You sure that you type should be UI control, and let's connect this thing, and we have to do the same thing for all the 4 views. So now all the 4 views are connected. Now we have to define the actions for all these 4 views. So for defining the actions, just we as the same we are doing, we just have to press control and drag and drop over here, and now we have to change this to as an action and put an extension on click option A, something like this. And we also need to change the event value change, it should be like touch up inside. So these things we have to do if we are working on the actions with these things. So now if we have to do the same thing for option B. So now all the 4 actions are defined. Now what we have to do, whenever a user is clicking any of these buttons, we need to change the border color, as we have seen this thing in the demo part. So let me play this thing. So as I'm clicking on this any of the button, it will change the border, as well as it is also changing the border of the previous selection. So now the border is removed, and it is changing that thing. So for that, first we need to create one function in which we will pass the values, and it will automatically change the values. So for that, I'm quickly writing the code. Let's quickly create one function over here. So function is like update border, or update something like that, update border, something like that. And this function will take one view. So simply it is taking my view, it is of UI view type. And another function, it is taking the border width, because if we click on any of the this, suppose if I'm clicking on this, so the border is now 4 pixel and the border is 0 pixels. So this is where we have to take the border width. So simply use border width as a parameter name, and it is of cg float type, and by default we are passing a 0 value. So if I'm not passing, this is an optional now. So if I didn't pass any border width, then it is automatically taking 0 as a border width. Now I have to do like my view is equals to whatever border width has user has passed or by default. And now we have to change the color. Now we have to create one more function, so that whenever user click on A, it will remove the border from all the B, C and D options. So we have to create one function like update function change border, like this. And then this function will take that on which we have clicked. So for that we have to create one enumeration. So just at the top we can create enumeration selected option, it should be the enumeration. And in this we have different cases, like now this parameter will take this function will take one parameter as selected option, and it is of selected option type. Now we have to put the switch over here, switch, and in this we have to take this selected option as a thing. Now we have to pass the different cases which we have in the selected option enumeration. So the first is case dot option A, and in this what we have to do, we have to call this function with option A as a, okay, let me call this function with option A, and now in this we have to pass the view, and the view is option A, this one, right, option A, and the border width should be like 5 pixel or 4 pixels, it's totally up to you, and argument label is border width. Okay, my mistake, I didn't pass the argument label, that is my view, and the border width should be like 4 pixels, right? So I have updated the border of option A, but I also need to update the border of option B, C and D also with 0 width. So we have only need to copy this function and paste this function 4 times without any option of border, right? So I think this is going to work. Now we have to define the same thing for all the cases. So now whenever we have to change the color of any border, then we have to use this change border method. So let's check this functionality by putting these things in option A with putting the options like selected option, and it's in option A, right, option A. So we have to copy this functionality, and now we have to change it from like B, this is our C, and this is our D. So I think we all are set. Now let's see that is it working or not. So they are saying that we cannot convert the type as a selected option. So yeah, it is not a type. So we have to pass dot option A, dot option B, dot option C. So it's basically told us that we have to choose from these 4 options. So that is not we are choosing. So now let's run this thing and see that is it working or not. Now that are we able to change the color of borders when we user click on different cells. So let's see is it working or not. Then we will going to put the logic of selecting a right answer or a wrong answer. We will going to see that thing further. So let's click on this play button, and now let's see that is it working. So it's saying unexpectedly nil is coming, and so the error is that it is not connected with the option. C is not connected with this thing. So let's connect this thing with this control. So I think now if we run and see that is there any error or not, let's run this thing and check that is it working or not. And one more thing, let's make this as a corner radius. So just change the controller and move it to quiz view controller, and we will put that thing logic over here. So simply write cell dot. Now let me check the name of the labels, name of these views. So these are the option A, option B, like this. Okay, so let's move on this as an option A dot layer dot corner radius is equals to 5, and now let's copy this part and paste it for 5 times like this, and it should be like option B, it should be like option C, and it should be like option D. Now let's run this one more time and to see that now the curves are there or not. So let's click on this thing, and it's completely working fine. Now let's check. Yeah, so it's working, right? Now we have to put the logic to see that if I click on this next button without selecting any field. So let me put the logic on this exit as well. So when I click on this next button after selecting, then only I need to put on the next question, otherwise it will show me the same question, right? So let's see how we can do this thing. So before working on these parts, first let's pass if the user has selected the correct option. Then we have to notify to the main controller from the cell that yes, the correct answer is selected. Otherwise we have to show that wrong answer is selected, so that main calculation will be happening on the quiz view controller. So for that, first let's create one closure so that I can pass the data from cell to the view controller. So simply write where selected option or selected answer. You can choose anything else. Now we have to define the closure over here. So in this first let's let that like selected option or selected answer. It's totally up to you, and it should be a Boolean type, and the return type of this closure is void, that it is not going to return anything. Right, now we have to use the same thing over here, this selected option. So before selecting we have to check, okay, if I'm clicking on option A and it is a correct answer, then we have to pass true over here. So what that we have to create one property over here, is correct is equals to false, like this. Now we have to check if correct answer, this property correct answer, in which correct option is stored, is equals to set value dot option 1. Means if the correct answer is equals to the option 1, that means uh, uh, when user click on this thing, we are checking this thing, okay, option A is selected, that means correct answer is option A. So we have to convert this value as true, right? And now after this thing we have to use this closure to pass the value. So in this we have to pass like is correct. So if I click on this option A every time, so what happens if the answer is wrong, that means is corrected is false, so it will automatically pass the false value. But if the answer is option A, that means it will pass the true always. So we have to do the same thing for every button. So over here also, and as well as yes, we can customize the code, we can make it more effective and more optimized, but that's the second part. First let's complete the functionality, and we can create a single function to evaluate everything. So now I think everything is done. Now we have to get this closure in my view controller. So over here now we have to get this closure over here. So over here like cell dot set value, not this one, cell dot selected option, and it will look something like this. So it will passing one value is correct, right? So whatever we have passing from there, it will come in this, that the answer is correct or not. Okay, so it is showing an error that it has no accessible initializer. Yes, that there is an issue in this class, like we didn't make this closure as an optional, so we have to make this thing as an optional. So I think now it is not going to show any error. So let's build this thing and check that the error has been resolved or not. So we have to put question marks over here so that it can show as an optional. Now let's see that is it working or not. Yeah, so I think that all the errors has been resolved. Now let's move on the view controller. So now this is done. Is correct will always show if the true if the answer is correct, otherwise it will show false. Now we have to define some properties on this view controller so that we can make some judgments on the basis on the answers what we are answering. So first let me put over here that navigation controller dot pop to root view controller. So when we click on this button, on the exit button, it will automatically make us to move on the first view controller. So now we will create on some properties over here. So for like where answer selected, so if no answer has been selected, that means we have to show the alert to the user, right? So the property is false. Now when a user click on this next button, if there is no answer has been selected, so we have to show the error. So if not answer selected, then we have to show the error, show error, yeah, or alert, we can say that. Now we have to update this property if user has selected any answer. It doesn't matter it is true or false, so we have to update this property over here. So self, I think we need to make this thing as a weak self so that it cannot hold the references. So weak self, now we have to write self dot is equals to true, like answer is selected. So now this error will not going to be thrown, though error is not going to, the alert is not going to show. And now we have to create one more Boolean property, like where is correct answer. So if user has given any correct answer, then all the things will be judged on the basis of this property. And we also need to take one property as an integer type, like points, which will store the uh, all the points user has been scored. So now we have to change this property also in this collection view. So if user has selected the correct answer, then it will come as a true, and if user is selected a wrong answer, then it is come as a false value, right? So on the basis of that values, I will judge all these things over here. So if is correct answer, that means if true, then we have to increase the pointer, right? We have to add the points. So what we have to do, we have to like points plus equals to 1. So whatever is stored in the points, we will just adding one value in the pointer. Now we have to move the user on the next option when after selecting the value. So for that, we have to simply use a collection view scroll to item method. Collection view dot scroll to item, and whatever index path we have to maintain. So we have to use one more variable, that is index over here, where index, and it is also starting with 0, right? And as a user click on any of the values, we have to also increase the value of index. Or we can do like, we can put some logic over here, so that whenever index we have to manually count the index. So for example, if index is smaller than like we have an array of all the values, so it is like questions, self dot questions dot count, self dot question dot count. So for like index is 0 1 2 3 and question count is 5, so it will always move to the next question if the count is smaller. So let's make it an option. We have to provide the default values as well over here, so we have to put something like this, and now like this, and in the else part we have to move the user to the next result controller. And in this count we have to update the value of index. What it's okay, 0, we have to pass the 0, and in this we have to update the value of index plus equals to 1, right? And we also need to put this code over here. We have to create the index path over here, so just double tap over here, and in this index path we have to use this row and section. So the row is index now, and section is always 0, and we have to move like scroll position from right, and the animation should be true, right? So now let's see, is it working fine or not? And I'm just pasting the code of showing alert over here. So this is the code of showing alert. So let's see, is it working fine or not till so far. Now without clicking any of these option, let's click on this next button, and it is showing in select an option. So now let's click on any of the option. It is working correctly fine. Now let's click on this next button, and it is automatically moving to the next cell. We have to do the same thing for again and again for all the questions which we are having in our system. So but one thing you have noticed, that it is always selecting some options by default. So this is an issue, so we have to resolve this issue. So for resolving this issue, we have to move in our collection view cell class, and there is one method, that is prepare for reuse. Now we have to call update border method function, update border function, with all the 4 things over here. So whenever the cell is going to be reused, it will automatically update the border of every view with 0. Let's run this thing again and check that the issue has been resolved or not. So let's click on next. So now we are not seeing that thing that the options are selected or not. Yeah, so it's perfectly working fine. Yeah, exactly fine. Now what happens when we click on just let's move at the last question. So it is showing an error. Yes, it will show because the index is now incorrect. The index which we are having on this view controller is completely incorrect over here. So it is throwing an error over here that the index is incorrect because the count is always greater, one greater with the index. So we have to reduce one count over here. Now we try to run this thing at the last. So it is not moving me in the next question because it is always moving in the else part now. So now in the else part we have to move the user on the result part. So quickly write the code to move the user on the result part. So I'm not writing any code, I'm just copying this thing because we need to use the same thing over there. We have to move the user. So just paste this code, and instead of this we have to use this result controller over here. And now we have to take some properties, or we can take the outlets of all these things. So let's design that thing. So let's move on the result view controller and take the outlets of all these things which we are going to be update. So we have to update this label. So for this I'm just putting like navigation controller dot pop to root view controller to true, like this. So now let's put this result table with the correct results. So for that we have to create one more property where result equals to 0, and now in this we have to like result is equals to, so the result is of integer type and the result table is of text type, so we have to use the string interpolation over here. So just like this. So I think now it's going to be work, and now we have to pass this result property from our quiz view controller. So let's pass result property. So vc dot result is equals to, we have to pass the points like this. Now let's see that everything is working as per our uh, requirement or not. And I believe this is one of the toughest video which you have watched, because yeah, this application is quite easy to create, but it is a time consuming thing. So now let's click on this thing. You can also show the loaders over here, so please do that thing to your own. Let me know if you are not able to do that part. I can help you out in solving those questions. You can also change the design according to your need. This is a little complicated design which I've chosen so that I can put some more logic around the UI designs and how we can do this thing, but still the next is not working. So we have to think around it why it's not working. So we need to check the let's check the index, that what index we are getting. So simply use print statement over here, print and index over here, like this. Now let's run again, so that to see that is it the index is correctly working or not. So basically we are having a 10 questions over here. So see that is it working. Okay, I found the issue that this is a result view controller, but we are putting the identifier as in quiz view controller, so we have to update this thing. Now let's see that is it working fine now or not, because it is not going to, it is always written from here. So let's see that is it working fine or not. Okay, one more issue, that whenever we are clicking on any of the value, it is automatically increasing without asking for the correct answer. So I think we have to update the value of this correct answer over here one more time, that is false, like this. Now let's run again to see that if this issue is also been resolved or not. Now when we are clicking after selecting values, it will always showing an error to us. Yeah, so the answer is 4, that we have given 4 correct answers. If you try to take the quiz again to alter the answers, so it's totally up to you. So let's see what animal stays shape of a desert, that's camel. So the answer is 7. So by this way we can create this complete application, and you can enhance this application by putting all the different topics in this topic button, so user can choose any other topic also. So this is all from in this video, and we have definitely learned something great in this video. With the combination of different things we can achieve this quiz application, and this is the actual scenarios which we will face in the real-time development. So if you really like this video and learn something from this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the like button if you like this video. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe my videos. It motivates me to create new contents for you. So this is for today. Thank you so much, and let me know in the comment section, did you like this video or not. So meet you in the next video. Thank you.